what's up guys? BartendingPro here with your next installment of your bartending basics. The main reason why we all do this and get into bartending. Money, money, make it rain. Now I have money all over the place here. I get a lot of questions about, first of all, like how the tipping procedure goes when you get your tips, how you collect them, but then also how you split your tips if you're working with other bartenders. Basically the way it goes at most bars, every drink you sell is basically $1 in your pocket. On average, not always, sometimes more, sometimes less, but we'll just call that about an average. One drink over the bar, $1 in your pocket. And this is why it's good to work at a busy bar. The more drinks that you can make, the more money in tips you're going to make. Now, the other way is when you have tabs that are running at a bar. Most bars are set up that during your slower times, people actually sit at your bar. You probably have the option to sell them food or whatever. Or maybe they're just sitting there watching a game or something, and they'll hand you a credit card and they'll keep a tab running. I'm gonna make another video about starting tabs, so hold that thought. But you'll have a tab open, and after they sit there for a while and they've had a few drinks or food or whatever, then they'll close out their tab. Now, hopefully, you're getting about 20% on the tab. So obviously, this is where it's beneficial for you to upsell them and have bigger tabs, because then you make better money and you're getting tipped on a bigger amount. Most people are pretty cool and they'll give you at least 15%. Even if you f***ed up and they don't like you, you're usually at least gonna get a 5 to 10% tip, which is shitty, but hey, it's better than nothing, especially if it's your fault and you're blowing it. When you have those tabs and you close them out, there's a couple ways you can do it. You'll have a little credit card receipt. Now, some bars will have it so that you can take that receipt and you can close it out, and how that happens depends on the bar and the computer system it's using, so I'm not going to go into that. I'll just give a vague description of closing the tab. So when you close that tab, you might be able to pull the cash out of the cash drawer. Like usually with credit card receipts, what happens is when you close the tab, the cash, the tip that is written on that receipt is pulled out of your cash drawer and put into your tip jar. And this can be done, like I said, when you close the tab, or sometimes you wait to the very end and you can add it up and then pull it out at once. Doesn't matter. Really, if you're doing your math right, then it's all the same anyway. Generally, the way I prefer to do it, if possible, is pull it out as I close the tabs. So then I don't have to worry about adding up numbers at the end of the night or whatever, because that's easy to f that up. And that's basically really the two main ways that you'll collect tips into your tip jar. If you're working with somebody, you'll split these tips, obviously. Again, the way that this is done specifically depends on where you're working, and this is something that you should go over when you get trained on the first few days when you get hired, or you can always just ask your fellow bartenders of, hey, how does the tipping procedures work out? So when we're talking about splitting our tips with our fellow bartenders, a couple of the main ways that you'll see it is you can split whatever is made evenly with the people that you're working with. So let's say me and two other guys are working from 6 o'clock till midnight, and whatever we make during that period, we split evenly 3 ways. Now, sometimes what management will do is they'll pool all the tips, they'll take them, and then they'll split it up evenly between people throughout the shift. Sometimes it's even split with the people through the day. They'll collect the day money and then split it with the night guys. Not that common, but it does happen. I really don't like the management taking and divvying up the tips, just because there's way too much opportunity for some tips to get lost and put into pockets of assistant managers and lower managers, which is just unfortunately a fact that it happens sometimes. So let's give you a scenario. Let's say you have a night shift where there's 3 bartenders, but they're kind of spaced out in how they come in, which is pretty common. The first guy comes in at 4 o'clock, the second guy comes in at like 6 o'clock, and let's say the third guy comes in at 8 o'clock. And then once you're all there, then you all work till closing. And usually you'll rotate these shifts. Like if you're 4 o'clock one week, then you'll be 6 o'clock the next week, and then 8 o'clock the week after that, and so on and so forth. So let's say you came in at 4 o'clock and you work from 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Whatever you make during that time, you'd usually keep to yourself. Then when the 6 o'clock guy gets there, whatever you make from 6 o'clock to 8 o'clock, you would both split evenly. And then when the 8 o'clock guy gets there, from there on out, you split everything evenly between the 3 of you. Does that make sense? So it sounds like, yeah, the guy that gets there earliest makes the most money, which is sometimes true, and there's usually the better shifts if you're getting there early and you're staying through the whole night at a bar that's doing a lot of business. Now sometimes, let's say in that situation, if you're all three of you get there and then say at like 10 o'clock it slows down a little bit, then they send the first guy home. So if you were the 4 o'clock person and it slows down at 10 for whatever reason, you get sent home because it's not busy enough for 3 people. So whatever you had made from 8 o'clock till you leave at 10 o'clock, all 3 of you would split, and then once the 4 o'clock guy is gone, then the remaining 2 guys, the 6 o'clock and the 8 o'clock, right, would then split whatever they make for the rest of the evening. I hope that makes sense. I don't want to confuse you. Maybe watch that over again just to get that. Basically, to summarize, whatever you make while you're there, you either keep to yourself if you're by yourself, or you split evenly with however many other bartenders are there with you when you're working together. Now, there's also tipping out and getting tipped out. So tipping out just basically refers to the term when you tip somebody that helps you. So generally the waiters will tip the bartenders. Bartenders will tip the bar back. Usually in the service industry, anybody who helps you do your job, you tip out. So obviously we're making drinks for the waiters and the cocktail servers, so they tip us a certain percentage of their alcohol sales at the end of the night. When we're working and we're busy, we have a bar back that's getting us ice and stocking beer and stocking alcohol and stocking glasses. They're helping us do our job, so we tip them out at the end of the night an X percentage of whatever our sales are. What those numbers are exactly varies quite a bit depending on where you work, but call it anywhere from 1.5% to 10% of certain sales, which is a big difference. And again, it's usually the same rules. If you're getting tipped from the servers into the bar in general, you'll split that evenly between all people. Sometimes a lot of bars will have what's called a service well bartender, which means there's a dedicated bartender that just makes drinks for the restaurant or the servers and waiters and waitresses. So in that instance, usually the service well bartender just gets tips from the servers and cocktail waitresses. So again, it basically boils down to anyone who helps you do your job, you will tip out, and anyone that you help do their job will tip you. I hope that makes sense. If you have any questions, leave them below and I'll be sure to answer and clarify anything that doesn't make any sense. And of course, if you have suggestions of stuff that you'd really like me to see, that you'd really like me to make a video about, then feel free to drop it down there and I'll put it on my need to shoot list and we'll get it done for you. Okay, I think that's it. Make sure that you share. Very important, make sure you subscribe. It's got a lot of new stuff coming out almost every single day. And that's it. For more kick-ass bartending videos, check out these playlists and subscribe to get new videos almost every day. Bartending Pro out!